Tremayne and Donna Dixon. We know each other from our home church, which is Sharon Baptist Church. So go ahead and tell the people all about you.
Well, I'm Donna Dixon. My husband Tremayne Dixon. We've been together for 26 years, married 23.
Mm.
Active members in our church, different ministries. We have 5 children, three
One
girls.
of which we hear.
Here we come. 3 girls and 2 boys. Three
Three
grandchildren.
girls and two boys.
Three
Okay.
grandchildren, all boys.
Wow, that is amazing. So you guys, y'all here in live and living color, the life of having a full house. These two are marvelous people. And one thing I wanted to talk about tonight, Donna and Tremayne, is the importance, especially as African American families, about foster care and adoption, the myths, the truth, and the misconceptions of the whole process. Because we it's a lot of misunderstanding. Like for me personally, I have actually always wanted to adopt, but being a single mother, and as I was, coming up with my son, I didn't think really that I was eligible because I was a single mom. And I've learned since then, actually, I could have did it, and not knowing about it.
Yeah.
So you guys have fostered several children, and some of which you have adopted. Can you tell the people about, let's start with foster care, about the system, how you do it, how you get involved in it, and your experience?
Um, well, I could say I was the one who initiated it with Tremayne, because I have a love for kids, and I just see the need for
Up, you froze on us. Hopefully, you still with us. Sorry about that, people.
there we go. All right.
All right, here we go. Here we go. You're back in business. Now, what were you saying?
I see the need for kids to be fostered, not just younger kids,
Mm-hmm.
but older kids also. And a lot of people don't want to do. They want to go with the younger ones because they feel as though that the younger ones are easy. The reason why we didn't go with the older ones is because we already have older children.
Mm-mm.
We just wanted to be careful with some of these kids that are in foster system have a rough background, and sometimes they need to be they need to either be brought up with their siblings, with their biological siblings, or in a home where they feel as though that they're loved. So if you bring older kids into a house where it's already older kids, it's not exactly the same. I mean, there are incidents where you can bring older kids in and everything blends well. But for our family, we felt as though we needed the younger ones,
Mm-hmm.
from infant on up to 2 or 3 years old. We felt as though we would be a better fit for them.
Right, right. And like I know, I'm sorry, a couple people, my co-host that was supposed to be here is texting me, but she may pop in, she may not. We'll see. Um, but let me see one second. I know a lot of people, that's the thing, like when they adopt, they have like fears of experience. And when I was looking up just to prepare for this show, they talk about fostering from traditional youth, which I would imagine, that's the everyday kid, youth with low needs, and youth with special needs. I
Mhm.
don't know if you guys ever did that, but what would you say in regards to when someone is looking at adoption, about the importance of finding the perfect match for your family?
Well, I'll say this. When it came to that, it was a decision that me and my wife we made together. Um, and like she said, a lot of our decisions, probably most of our decisions, is based on our household. And
Mm-hmm.
based on your household, I would believe that would be the best decision for you to make on what type of situation you want to bring into your home. I'll be honest, some homes are more equipped for special needs.
Mm-hmm.
Some
Mm-hmm.
homes, I mean, they really can adapt to it a lot better. And it also depends on the time and availability of the foster parents. Now, when I say that, me and my wife, we work every day. So
Mm-hmm.
that type of special needs person, I don't know if we can put in that type of time to deal with that individual. And sometimes with the doctor's appointments and sometimes with the medication. Um, when you have all of that, you have to make sure. There you go. You have to make sure that you're able to assist in that type of capacity. So when it came to us, that's what kind of helped us to tailor, the children that we wanted. We knew that we would be better fit for someone or individuals that did not have that special need because
Mm-hmm.
time and availability didn't actually work for that. But of course, it did work for, like you said, you know, the normal kid, the kid that's really just looking for a safe home, someone to love on them, to give them what they, supply their needs and give them a good upbringing. That pretty much fits our need when it came to our family. And also, like my wife was saying, I think we were better equipped to handle younger kids because of my when we started doing fostering. My second daughter, she was living in
Mm-hmm.
the house, and of course, I still have my son. They were all a little bit older, so they really helped when it came to the younger kids and assisting with them. So, and honestly, we try to do this as a family. So we got their
Right.
input also. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they're of age, and they were very receptive, very welcoming to the fact of us doing the fostering. So all of that played into how we made sure that we brought someone in our family dynamic that, once again, want to make sure when that kid comes in that the transition is not a rough transition. Everything can flow as smooth as possible. Because the first thing we want to do, we want to make sure when that kid gets here that we can start the process of making sure that they're comfortable. So I said that to say, you want to make sure that your situation fits what that child needs. Um, I would say that more than you trying to fit what the child needs. I think
Mm-hmm.
you need to tailor your situation to make sure that that child that's coming in is comfortable with that situation that you're bringing them into. Absolutely.
That's a
Yeah.
key point that you said when you have other children and
Mm-hmm.
you're interested in fostering or adoption.
Right.
You said something very unique and very important is to have that discussion with your other children.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that they're fully involved and that they are in agreement because the worst thing that you want is your children, your biological children, to have to be not be comfortable with adding additional family member. Like for a person who doesn't have any children, that's not an issue, but I can imagine how particular and really open that you would have to be to ensure that your present children are comfortable with the add-in, because you even hear it with people who have biological children, that the sometimes the older sibling are not accepting of the new baby in the household, but and there needs to be a dialogue to get them used to what is about to happen. How do you handle with your children, your biological children, the transition when okay, you had that conversation about a child coming in the home, but for foster care, have you experienced the times when the biological parent is maybe ready to receive their children? Now they're in a better place, a better situation. How is it for your children, your biological children, to accept that now this child may have to leave us. Has that been your experience?
Yes, when we first started doing this, and also for Maine and I, when we first started doing this, the transition was kind of hard, because when you get this kid, we know that our goal was to foster. And then the goal for the DHS system is always reunification. It's always, that's the first goal.
Mm-hmm.
It never starts out with adoption. It's always, okay, we're going to, it's like every 3 month trial. The parents do what they have to do for 3 months. They, if they want to visit their kids, they can visit their kids. So we
Mm-hmm.
knew, in the beginning, that this is how it starts off. Reunification. That's what they want, with the kids. Now, if it goes on to about like a couple of years, like a year or two, then that's when they say, you know what, because they really get the parents about 15 months to 2 years
Mm.
to get themselves together or to do what they have to do, or if they want to terminate their rights.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
so sometimes that transition, because when we first started doing this in the beginning, it was kind of hard because you get used to the kids, and then we still had to love on them, but we had to let ourselves know it's a possibility. We're going to give them this love, but it's a possibility that they can go back with their parents, and that's what we want. We
Mm-hmm.
always wanted that, but I guess we was loving so much that when it first happened, we was like devastated, but we knew, but they
Right.
went back with their parents, so it was a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
was a good thing. It wasn't nothing bad. It's not like they was taken from us and went to another foster home. No, they went back to their parents and they were reunited with them, which was good.
Right, right. Yeah, I can that's one of the things you hear when people talk about foster care, like, oh, I'm gonna be devastated when the child leaves, and that's kind of what stops someone from really stepping out on faith to take care of, to take in and bring a child into their family is then when it's time, if the parents are to a point that it's time to allow the child to go back to their parents. And that's something like most people, they would feel a little anxiety about that. But like you said, you have to talk to yourself and have that mindset that this day will come. And I'm sure you had it conversations with the child as well as with your biological children to say, hey, you're here. We're just taking care of you. Your mom is or your dad is getting themselves together. And then one day you'll all be together again. So, because not that is anything the same, but like there was a time when my great nieces and nephew was staying with me, and it was a difficult process, and I had to always keep reminding them, oh, you're going to see your mother again. Like that's not without a shadow of a doubt, because I knew it was temporary. You will see your mother again. That's the plan. But I know that conversation probably was different for you because not always was it a return to see their mom, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, but I was saying that too. I feel as though that however long the kids was with us, we did our part. We gave them what they needed at that time. We
Mm-hmm.
gave
Mm-hmm.
them, I got them. We gave them the love. We gave them the support. We gave them everything that they needed at that time to go back to their parents. And in some instances, you can still remain in contact with that kid if the parent allows you to. You
Wow.
can still
Okay.
you can still you can still say, hey, for I got something for the kid for their birthday or for holidays if you would like to remain. And some parents are open to that.
Okay.
Some
Okay.
parents are open because they're grateful for what you have done.
Mm-hmm.
Helping taking care of their child.
And I'll say this also, Kim. There's levels to fostering.
Mm-hmm.
Like Donna said, if you're fostering to adopt, that's a different level. In other words, you know that you're getting somebody that you may want to stay with you, or you can just be a foster where you know that you know we're going to get kids in that's going to come in that we know that we're not going to keep and they're not going to stay. So in other words, you don't get caught up and then you realize, they're going to leave. No, you kind of, we let our adopting agency know what we were looking for as far as when it came to the kids. So when they came in, it was clear cut that, they're probably going to go back to their families. Then we have went to a different level where we say, you know what, we're going to foster now to adopt. So now we're going to get kids that, we create that bond. They're going to be in situations where there's a possibility that they could literally stay with us. So in other words, it's levels to fostering. So you want to make sure that you understand your level so you can kind of, pace yourself when it comes to, they're probably going to leave after a while, or you know what, we're probably going to have them for a little while. It's very possible that we could keep them. So it's different.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So do you know from the beginning what the possibilities are? Like, excuse me, like from the agency, do they kind of tell you,
No, not really.
What I was saying that what they did, they'll tell us that this kid is you're fostering, but there's a possibility that they could be adopted.
Okay.
Situations. So I understand what my wife is saying is absolutely right. But what they try to do, and this is what she's talking about, what they try to do is tell us that up front. But honestly, Kim, no, it doesn't always happen.
They'll tell us that.
They'll tell us sometimes.
Like if the kid has visits with their parents and stuff, they'll say it's a possibility that they're going back. Right. Like I said, agencies don't talk adoption until 15 months, almost 2 years into you fostering a kid if you have the kid that long.
And we're already 6 or 7 months in. Go ahead, I'm sorry. We're already 6 or 7 months in.
Like they talk. That's when they talk really. That's when they talk adoption. They don't talk that right away. It's always It's always reunification. Right.
That's important to know from the beginning that, it could go either way. So you have to think about that when you are, or if you are considering foster care, that you have the mindset, like you said, Donna, of reunification, that you go in knowing, I'm doing this for the betterment of the child, because it's always about the children, that you want to create a safe, loving environment for the children. But I think if I'm hearing you right, it would be best to have a mind that, this is only temporary, regardless of the time. Yes. This is only temporary, to give the children what they need for right now.
Yes.
But also considering, which I know you have experienced as well, that this may turn into a lifelong journey. Because the last thing you would want to do, I think, is go from taking care of this child for 15, you said 15 months to 2 years, right? Taking care of this child for that long, and then they say to you, well, would you consider it, because the parents are not equipped, or the mother or the father are not able to take care of their child. So you have to have a two-mind kind of concept, I would imagine, that it could go either way. And when you're doing this, I think it's good, if you want to foster, is that don't do it if you think after that 2 years you can't now take the child, because you don't. I mean, what you going to do? Give the child back?
Exactly.
That could be so detrimental to a child. So you got to do it with both mindsets, that, the prayer, I would think, is that their parent will be able to take, unite with their children, reunite with their children, or saying, or this child will be a permanent part of my family. I think we lost you again. You gotta love technology. Okay, there you are. So when you're thinking of the foster care system, you got to look at it both ways, is really what I'm trying to get out of. And how was that experience for you when they would tell you, unfortunately, the parents are unable to reunite with their child, and then you would be they're asking you to adopt? What is that process like?
Well, I mean, kind of for us, it was kind of easy, because we already had the mindset that, if the child was to go for adoption, we would have to make sure that we had
There you
There we go.
that if the kid was to go up for adoption, our home would be open. Our home
go.
would be open to that, because, like you said, you've had the kid, you've been with them for almost 2 years. You don't want to just give them to somebody else who don't know their likes, their dislikes. I mean, a kid is already probably calling you mommy or daddy or something, and then you want to pass them on to another stranger.
Mm-hmm.
You want to. Our goal is to, if we're going to adopt, is to get them out the system as fast as we can, and
Mm-hmm.
just get them out the system and get them into a home, um, where they are loved.
Yeah, and then one thing that I have always admired about you too was it would always, if it did turn out that way, y'all were always ready and willing to take on the challenge of having an addition to your family. Like you are, both of y'all are kids yourself. Y'all have been in the youth ministry at our church. You've always been involved with the young children, always loving on children. Donna, anybody's child, you would pick up in 2 seconds.
Yes.
So you guys are natural lovers of children. So I know it could be very easy for you guys because y'all are kids at heart.
Yeah.
Y'all both have a loving heart for children. And I think that is so admiring of you two that, and even sometimes you end up the child goes back and next thing you know we see you with the child again. So how's that? How is that experience?
See, that's when I say, when you keep that relationship with the parent, and they're
Mhm.
grateful for what you have done, because there are some parents that are bitter, that are angry that their child was taken away from them, and put into the system for whatever reason. That's not
Mhm.
the judge. We're just here, and like I tell parents, when we talk, because parents would like to talk to us. I say, I'm here not to judge you, or we're here not to judge you, but to help you. Like, what can we do to make this process easy for you, so that you will be able to see your kid again? You will be able to get your baby back. So if you develop that bond and that relationship from the beginning with mom or dad or both parents, then they start to
Mhm.
trust you. They know
Mm.
that you're willing to do it to help the kid and to help them out.
So that's interesting. So you guys have a connection with the parents from the beginning, if they're willing.
Yes, yes,
How does that
yes,
happen? Like,
yes.
is that
Well,
something?
once the kids are required visits.
Oh,
Like
okay.
they are, yes, baby. They are required visits. So it's our responsibility to take them to their visits to see whether it's a sibling, whether it's a grandma, whether it's mom or dad. It's our responsibility to take them. So most parents or mom or dad, when we take them, want to meet us and they talk to us.
Mm. Is there from a foster care side of it, what is your recommendations? Because you've heard good stories and you've heard bad stories. Like one of the things that broke my heart was one of my son's friends when he was young. Their mom got whatever the situation was, had to have her children taken away from her temporarily. And he shared with us that the foster care home he was in, he was abused, where they would beat him and they would mistreat him and he was locked in a closet a lot. Those are the like when those are the things that makes me want to do this show, is because those that are able need to step up because there's so many people in it for the wrong reasons, because there is some sort of financial stipend that they receive. And I guess that's what their motivation is, really not to help and care for the kids. So what is the recommendations you would have for someone who is considering foster care?
I think you kind of just said it, Kim, when you said the motivation. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I will agree. Yeah, we do get a stipend, but honestly, my motivation is to make sure he or she um, that they're trained. And if you notice, we get young kids, so
Mm-hmm.
we like the babies. So we want to make sure that that transition that they have, once again, if it comes when it comes through us, and then it goes to the next parent, or they go back to their parents. We want to make sure that that transition of just how life works is very simple to them. So in other words,
Mm-hmm.
we're doing this just to pass it back off to mom or dad to get reunified, so we can make sure that the kids transition into life in general is as normal as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that happens, Kim, and I'll be very, very honest, and I'll say this: that story you had, those type of stories break my heart. Um,
Yeah.
I'm a big documentary guy. I like
Mm-hmm.
looking at documentaries on Netflix, and I've seen about 3 or 4 of them. And I said, how did this kid fall through the cracks?
Mm-hmm.
So that's my other issue. You want to make sure that the parents have the right, the foster parents have the right motivation when it comes to these children. That's to make sure the kid is in, they have the proper care that they need. That's number one. And
Mm-hmm.
then secondly, you want to make sure the caseworker, the CUA worker, the attorney, everybody that's supposed to see that kid, they come and see that kid. They
Mm-hmm.
do their walkthroughs. They make sure that they can see where they're sleeping at. They can make sure, because this is what they do with us, they check all areas of our house. They want to go down in the basement, make sure ain't nobody or kids down there in the basement that's locked. In other words, they really have full access to the house. Now, that's the other thing you have to be concerned about. Why don't they have full access to your house? That's a red flag for them, because they want to know why. Listen, I'm just doing a normal check. Why can't we? Why can't we go into certain places? So if you got the right motivation and the kid is the main, you don't have those type of issues. Like with our home, they can walk through any part of our home, and that's the way we want to make them feel like this kid, when they're here, they're safe. They're,
Mm-hmm.
they're with a safe home. They're with someone that truly do cares for them. So I would definitely say that number one, the motivation of the foster parents. Why are you doing this? That's
Mm-hmm.
number one. And then secondly, those ones that's watching over the kid, and I guess you want to say the government part of it, that part that they're doing their job. In other words, don't tell me you're coming. I tell my wife this all the time. As much as I do not like the traffic coming in and out of my house, I will be very honest, but I understand why it must get done. I need to see you every
Mm-hmm.
month, 2 to 3 months. Know that you're checking on him, checking on her, doing different things to make sure you laying eyes on them. Because and I'm be done in a minute. I saw um, a Netflix show where the foster parents kept putting off just the the caseworker laying eyes on the kid. That cannot happen. You have to see that child. I know they may be sick or they may be sleeping or whatever. You got to schedule better times where you can lay your eyes on these kids and make sure you can see them and touch them, and they're not moving around any weird kind of way. They're limping around. All those are signs. So um, it's a two-part thing to make sure that these kids are in a safe home, and you have to be willing as a foster parent. You got to be open. You
Mm-hmm.
got to be transparent. That closed stuff, and you don't want people to see certain stuff. They start asking questions, and what they
Right.
will do, Kim, we found out, they don't have to have any real major crazy thing to do. They'll come take that kid out your house just
Mm.
because we did this a couple times and you would not comply. They'll come take it. So I definitely do think there are some parameters that stays in place, and the kids will be safe. Absolutely.
Right. Right.
And
Do
then
they? Go ahead.
to piggyback off of that, yeah, like May said, your heart has to be in the right place. You have to do this for all the right reasons. When we first started doing this, it was overwhelming because you have DHS, you have social worker, you have COI, the child has an attorney, the mom, the dad has an attorney. Everybody is involved in this kid's life, and they walk through here like they live here. If they call right now and say we coming, we have to let them come.
Mm-hmm.
We can't say no. And I tell people this all the time, and they laugh at me. I'm not a basement person. Like, I don't go down my basement. I don't even go to my basement to wash clothes. I don't like basements. So when she came in, she said, "Well, can you walk me down the basement?" No, no, man, you can go down there by yourself. I'm not going with you. I'll turn the light on for you. And she was like, "Well, you don't go down your basement?" No, I don't. I don't like basements. But they came and they walked through the entire basement, the garage. They checked the closets. They make sure that the kid have a proper place to sleep. Like, they check everything. So that's another thing that I'd be willing to say to people that want to do this. You have to be willing to open up your doors and allow more people in your life, because this baby or this kid, if it's done right and correctly, they come with an army of people that takes care of them, that
Oh,
look out
wow.
for them. Like, the lawyer calls me once a month. His DHS comes once a month. His co-worker comes once a month. Everybody who needs to see him or hear from him during COVID, we had to do the Zoom, and he couldn't be asleep. Like, you got to wake them up so that they can see that this kid is breathing. So your heart has to be in the right place. And
Right.
you
Your
have to be
heart
willing.
should be in the right
Yes,
place.
your heart should be in
Your
the right
heart
place.
should be in the
And you
right
have you have
place.
a lot to do. I mean, you got to go through. You got to be willing to go to FBI clearances, willing to do child abuse clearances, willing to take classes. All this
Mm.
even before you can foster. And I think that's a great thing, because even during the classes, you learn some stuff, and you say to yourself, "Well, am I willing to do that? Like, do I want to do that?" Like, once this kid comes into your house, you are responsible for them. You can't say, "Oh, I can't take them to the doctors. Oh,
Mm.
I can't take them to school. Oh, I can't take them for a visit. I can't do that." And they'll be like,
Right.
"Oh, then you don't want to you can't be a foster parent." So
Mm-hmm.
when you take these classes, you see everything that you have to go through.
Oh, that's wonderful, because I didn't know what type of support they give you. But so that's great. Like, they really do equip you and provide
Yes,
enough support to help you through
yes,
it. So it's
yes,
not just you taking the child and caring for the child with no resources or
no,
anything like that. You
no,
are fully equipped
no.
with
We have a
managing.
good support. We have a good support system.
all the way down to if he needs clothes. If he
Hmm.
needs like Christmas time, they'll get him Christmas gifts.
Hmm.
They always advise him just to make sure they advise therapy for him. Does he? Do you feel like they need any type of, you know, when you see them, how's their cognitives working?
Hmm.
All of that. I mean, literally, um, I don't really like to look at it like this, but they really just live here with us. But all of their connections and everything, all of that's still intact. They're just living in our home. So
Okay.
all of that, I mean, like I said, we can get stipends for clothes, and I mean, just I mean, when it comes to the whole, even when it comes to food and different things like that, just any need of the child. The only way that child don't get it is you're not saying something,
Yeah.
but they can get
Mm.
that child whatever they need. Yes, they can.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. That's
And
definitely an encouragement for those who question whether they are in a position to handle it. Like, you're not in this alone, and they
Yeah.
provide you everything you
Yeah.
need
Everything you
to
need.
support the child.
Everything. Yeah.
sometimes I'll be honest. I think sometimes they overdo it, but I'd rather you overdo it than for you
Right.
underdo it. Like, in other words, we've told them a couple of times about when it came to situations, but they'll continue to ask the same things over and over again just to make sure, because now they're 3 months and they're 6 months and they're 9 months, they're about to turn a year old, and they'll ask some of the same questions, but they just want to make sure that at certain times in their growth that they're touching every point and they're not missing anything. That, in other words, we as the foster parents, do we have all the resources we need to make sure they get everything that they need? So, I mean, once again, if it's done right, absolutely, you're not walking this thing by yourself. That's what
Right.
I will give the system. they do take care of these kids that are in the system. For any basic needs that they need, they will take care of that. Yes.
That's awesome. So even I know it wasn't suitable for your family, but even if you do have a child with low needs or special needs, if they're doing the basics for the traditional child, then I can only imagine they do that even more so for children that need needs. So if someone is even considering it and would like to bless a child who do have needs, then you know you have resources. You
Yes.
definitely have resources. And I know that a lot of people go, it's easier, I would imagine, for a younger child to be adopted because people feel that or have a misperception that younger children don't come with all the baggage that they may have experienced, but in reality they could. You
Mhm.
know, they have very good memory. Children remember and mimic the things that they experience. So it's good to know that they have such a support system provided. And do they provide like support groups for parents? Do they do anything like that?
Oh, that they definitely do. They definitely do.
Oh,
And one
that's
thing that they
awesome.
ask us also is, as foster parents, do we have a support system outside of them? Like,
Mm,
they'll ask me, like, do your coworkers know? Do your friends know? Do your family know? How do they feel about that? And I tell them we have a huge support system.
We got family and church family.
We have family,
right,
church
yeah.
family. We have our track family when the kids run. We have, we just have a big support system when it comes to kids. So that's one thing that they ask you also. Like, are
Okay.
you doing this? Are you doing this by yourself? Is this a secret? Do people know? You know, they want to know. Make sure you have a support system. That's why
Yeah.
when they talk to your references, they literally talk to our references. Like they have,
Okay.
like, how long have you known this person? Like, will you let this person watch your children, or how do you feel about this person being a foster parent and stuff like that? So they really get into who our references are, and our references cannot be family.
Oh, that's what I was getting ready to ask you. What type of references do they look for? So as non-family members, is there any other requirements of your references?
No, not. I wouldn't say requirements,
No.
but probably
Mm-hmm.
more of what they want to do. First of all, they want to make sure they're being honest. That's number one. Second of all, they want to make sure they really do know us. You know,
Okay.
it's not just a surface thing. But I'll be honest, Kim. I want to give them certain people that's in our lives that do know us like that, because
Mm-hmm.
they can
Mm-hmm.
answer the questions a whole lot better. Instead of that type of thing. So the people that we give them, oh, they know us in and out. So it helps us when it comes to those references. It helps us to kind of like say some of the things that we may forget or we don't see about ourselves. They'll kind of pick up on that and tell them how we are as individuals, just how they know us, just in general.
Right. Right. That's
So yes.
awesome. So, moving forward on like when it comes to adoption, can you talk about the process of adopting a child? All right, they froze.
Here we go.
There we go.
Okay.
We just had a commercial. All right.
So can you talk about the adoption process, like that whole scenario? Because y'all really gave a thorough education on fostering. So can you kind of do the same, like walk us through the adoption process? Because a lot of people who consider it, their
Mhm.
hesitation is due to a lack of knowledge
Right.
of
Right.
the experience.
Right. Well, I'll say this first of all, and I know my wife. I need her to jump in because she's real. She's very. She picks up on some things that I don't. But definitely, when it's going to happen, there is a process where they do inform us on, of course, the termination of the rights, and then what happens is that there's a certain point where they have something called adoption day. So all of that leads up to signing paperwork, seeing attorneys at at the end, to make sure things are kind of sewn up on a legal standpoint. Um, we get all proper documentation. Even with us, they spoke to us about if we wanted paperwork, as far as when it comes to a name change. that type of thing. Um, and then from there, once all paperwork and everything is taken care of, because we're kind of working up to a deadline. It's not just if you can get this done in a month. It's not really like that.
Mhm.
We actually do have a deadline to make sure everything is done at a certain time, and then once everything is done, paperwork legally, um, then of course the detachment from the foster, from the agency, that happens, and then we kind of making detachment from caseworkers and all of that, leading up into that particular time. And once that day actually comes, all that paperwork should already be done, pretty much in an envelope in your hand on adoption day, and then you go stand in front of a judge, and then they do the legal adoption in front of a judge. You can invite family and
Mhm.
friends and all of that. You can invite them, and then once that's done, normally they'll have like a little celebration to kind of for the day and for the kid. And then pretty much at that point pretty much is it. But it is a process to work up to that, to make sure everything is in order. So if you go home and they knock on that door, it's not you're considered the parent at that particular point. Technically,
Okay.
you're not the adopted. You're the parent at that particular point, um, for that particular kid. And of course, it's an adopted kid, but you know that it it kind of came real to me when that happened, and then that mom and dad makes it sounded a little bit different.
Mm.
It did sound a little bit different after that day had happened. Yes.
Right. Right.
I
It's
mean,
some strength behind it.
to lead up to the whole adoption process, I figure out what May said. It is a process. It's just like fostering. You may have to
Mhm.
take some more. You may have to take some more classes, because you have to remember in the beginning we took classes for fostering. Yes,
Mhm.
a class for fostering. So you may have to take some classes for to adopt, and then you have to. And then again, there are some people that foster that just want to foster. They
Mhm.
don't want to. They don't want to adopt. They just want to foster, give the kid what they want, what they need, and if they are up for adoption, then they're like, you know what, I don't, I'm not ready to adopt. I just want to continue to foster the kid. So the process can be tedious, because you have to get everybody in your household has to get stuff done, and this is why we include our children, because when they was living here and they were over the age of 18, there's certain paperwork that they have to do too. So they have to be involved in the they also have to be involved in the process. So now you have to lead them into the process, and then you have to have paperwork. Like, before the adoption can take place, you have to have somebody that's going to be, if something was to happen to us, and it's not like a godparent, but it's like
Mhm.
a legal guardian, and it has to be notarized. So if something was to happen to us today, who would take care? Who is responsible for this kid legally? Like, who would you lead
Mhm.
this child to? So it's a lot, in the process, that you have to do. But again, if your heart is in the right place and this is something that you want to do, you go with it.
So
Just go with it.
you said something that was interesting. So if a child is eligible for whatever the circumstances is, to be now adopted, you can just, if adoption is not something you want to do, you can continue to foster and the child during for a certain amount of time, or what is it?
No, no. So if the kid that you are fostering is now going up for adoption, and you don't want to, and you're not ready to adopt, they will find a family that's ready to adopt, so that
Okay.
the kid doesn't have to be in the system. The kid can be in a loving family that he or she will be in for the rest of their lives, instead of
Oh,
trying to
okay.
bounce them. Okay, this person don't want to adopt, and let this person go, let this person go. So no, so what they'll do is they'll find a suitable home for parents, or somebody that want to adopt.
Okay. Okay. Because I know like there is a cutoff age, if I'm not mistaken, from a foster care um perspective, right? Like the child can age out of the
Age out,
system.
I believe it's 18.
Okay. Okay.
I believe it's 18. They can age out.
Okay. So let's say that I know I'm bouncing back to foster care because I'm so very interested in it. So if a child keep goes to a point of aging out of the system and hasn't been either returned to their natural parents or been adopted out of foster care, do like you could still maintain that connection? Like I know if they don't have a home, it's a different story, but if they are in your home, they can continue with you even after
Yes,
their age out.
yes, yes.
Oh, that's good.
Just like your kid, they graduate high school,
They're still with you. They're
they're
still
still
your
with you.
kid. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a,
Right, right.
yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest. That particular part um, is a little bit further down the road for us. But I will say this: in our classes, we have kind of explored that as far as the aging out process. But yes, definitely is something that at that point they just kind of consider them as adults. So
Yeah.
Okay.
it's just like adult relationship now. Like you said, however you want to do it, if you want to stay here, if I want to help you get a place or something like that, that's fine. But normally, once you get to that point, there's still definitely very rarely is it cut off once again unless
Yeah.
you got those unfortunate situations. But
Mm-hmm.
if it's a caring, loving situation, that never ends.
Yeah.
And the reason why I
Okay.
say that because I have family members that were in the system, and to this particular day, they have a mother, which is my grandmother, but they still call that foster mom. So I mean,
Mm.
it definitely doesn't cut off. You've done the right thing. It's not gonna cut off.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So is there any age limitations for, well, I guess not if you say if it was a grandmother, but is there age limitations of when a person can foster or adopt, or if they even themselves have any kind of disability, as long, I would imagine, as long as they're able to care for the child, they can continue.
Yeah, as long as you're able to, because you have some kids who their biological grandmothers will be their mother or adopt them because their son or their it was their son is their grandchild. So
Hmm.
you have grandparents that are willing and able to adopt or take on fostering their own grandchildren. But most of the time, when in that instance, they will adopt them.
Okay.
They will adopt them. They don't want them in the system. This is my grandchild. I'm gonna do what I gotta do to take care of them. So yes, you do have grandparents that will adopt. So I mean, as long as you're not bedridden,
Hmm.
you probably still have an income. You can still work a little bit, or you're healthy enough to take care of a child. You can They'll let you foster or adopt.
Oh, wow.
Availability and capability. Those two things.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's one of the things, like even now, I was actually talking to one of my friends who is in the DHS system. And for those of you that may not be in our area, DHS is the Department of Human Services. So for Philadelphia, she was like, Kim, you would be an awesome foster parent because I've watched you raise your own child and you have that love in you to do it if you were interested. And I've really tossed that thought around. But one of the things that I really thought about was, well, what about my age and all of those things? And it's the same fears. Like you never know, and you don't want to go through a process and then get turned away because that's the worst thing.
Right, right.
You would be crushed if you really had your mind set on it. When you're going through the adoption process, is there any time in that process that a parent, if able, can change their mind?
Actually, yes. So what they do is two one or two things can happen. Your rights can be terminated by the courts, or you can sign over your rights
Okay.
legally. If you sign over your rights, um, so if your rights are terminated by the courts, there's nothing you can do about it.
Okay.
But if you sign over your rights legally, you have about 2 months to change your mind.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, you have about 2 months, and that in that process, in them 2 months, if you're doing what you have to do, you have the right to. You can change your mind.
Oh, okay. I thought there was even a longer time span because the adoption process, how long does that typically take?
It all varies. It all depends.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, it can vary, and once again, that depends on the individual because what they want to see out of mom and dad biological that you're doing the things to get to reunify with your kids. So, I mean, they see that you're working at it. They see that you're trying to get to a certain point where you're capable of bringing them back into the home. I even say that the system will work with you. They
Mm.
really want to. They would really want to try to reunify when it comes to um, mom and dad. So um, the process itself, I mean, they told us, because me and Donna, we try to, we try to be as, we try to get as much answers as we can. But they told us that it can drag out. I'll say that much.
Mm.
I don't want to scare anybody, but I want to be honest. It can drag out when it comes to either bio mom and the system. Between those, and I'm sorry, bio parent. I apologize. Bio parent and the system. That's where it can kind of linger a little bit because for the most part, when it comes to the foster parent, we're just kind of sitting here waiting, kind of see what's going to happen. We don't really have quote unquote say so in certain things. Certain things
Okay.
we just receive the information. But when it comes to that, how long it takes is between the bios and the system, and how quickly that information, like Donna said, signing over rights, terminating rights, that can get a little drawn out also. So it's different situations, but yeah, it's kind of hard to give a time frame per se. But like Donna said, they do give ample amount of time for that reunification to make sure that um, bio mom and dad has had every opportunity to, or new grandma um, has had every opportunity to get that kid back. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, they do.
Because I think a lot of times it's TV, drama. They kind of put a negative spin on it because they always show the negative parts of it, like Chicago PD. I was watching that recently, and it was where one of the officers was taking care of a child and wanted to adopt the child. The parent, unfortunately, wasn't there anymore. The bio parent had died. Then this family member, while they're almost through the process, comes out of nowhere, and now they're like, well, that we're blood, I want the child. But you would think that, like, in that scenario, they excuse me, my earphone is falling off. Okay, now I'm back. They will say that they didn't know all of this was happening. Or maybe the father. I didn't know all this was happening. But to me, I'm like, well, dang, you ain't been in the child's life. Like, what right do you have? And you ain't even been around. So I don't know if you guys have ever experienced, but oh, you have. Can you speak about that?
We dealt with what's called next of kin.
Mm-hmm.
It's not mom, it's not dad, and it's probably not the grandparents. Sometimes it can trickle down kind of far to aunts.
Well, see, what they try to do though in the foster care system is they try within that year or however long you have the baby, find somebody that's related to this child biologically. Mm-hmm. So they try to find a biological cousin, a biological aunt, a biological uncle, and ask them, "Are you willing to, your
Now we're having a commercial break for Let's Just Talk with Kim. If you have other ideas, please let me know. Now, back to the show.
There we go.
So what they try to do is they really do try to reunite the child with a family member, whether it be on the
Mm-hmm.
mom side or the dad
Mm-hmm.
side. So
Mm-hmm.
they do look in the system, like they'll put the name in, they'll look in the system to say, okay, well, I found a uncle or an aunt, and they're willing to see if they want to, it's called kinship, if they want to
Mm-hmm.
do kinship to adopt this child. So again, the agency does everything that they can to find somebody related to this, to related to the child in some type of way, so that they can be, so that they don't have to, so that they can be adopted or be kin with their biological family.
Okay. And what has your experience been? Because I know, man, you were saying that it seemed like you were saying y'all had a similar experience like that.
Yes, where there was and the interesting part was that we hadn't heard anything for a while, and then all of a sudden, not one person pops up, two people pop up.
Wow.
And and once again, how we are, we want, I would rather that they be with anybody that's family. That's the way that, I'm a family guy, so I would rather want that. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when that happens, I'll be honest, later on in the process, that's why the caseworker and DHS and the court worker, they want to be clear that everybody motivation is correct. Because like you just said, I mean, this kid been with us for 6, 7 months. Where you been? Now all of a sudden you pop
Right.
up. It's like that type of thing. So you just want to make sure everybody's motive is right. But yes, the later on in the process, um, they ask some of those same qualifying questions as far like we were talking about availability, capability, financial support for the child. In other words, I'll say that they want to make sure you're not living off the stipend. They want to make sure you're making your
Mm.
own income. To that stipend is just a supplement. It's not. It doesn't. It doesn't help raise the kid. It's just a supplement. All of that comes into play, but what they still gonna do, whether it's aunt, cousin, doesn't matter. They're gonna go through the same process to make
Mm-hmm.
sure the home is a certain type of way. Once again, your working situation, your availability, like Donna said, to take kids to doctor's appointments, to make sure that they get any type of special needs care that they may want to get. So it happened, but when they went through the process, I'll say for a couple of the kids that we had, they did find somebody, but then we had a couple where they couldn't make those matches, and they didn't feel comfortable
Mm-hmm.
with, putting them with that particular kid. Once again, even though it's blood and they're related, they still have certain checkpoints and certain things they want to make sure that they can continue to block, because they know what they're getting with us. So when that kid goes over there,
Mm-hmm.
they got two people here. Not that they have to have two people, but if you're just the only one, do you have any help? Do you have any assistance? So the questions can get a little bit in depth, but once again, the whole thing is making sure that the kid has everything that they need, and they don't have those roadblocks that could stop them from continuing to grow. So yeah, the kinship thing, and yes, next of kin, it can become an issue if certain things is not the way the system wants to hear it.
Okay.
In other words, they're not going to take them out of our situation and put them in a lesser situation.
Right.
So
Right.
like that. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
That's good to know.
and then there are kinships, that there are kin that work, and sometimes again, because we get the babies, sometimes their kin is sleepy. Sometimes their kin could be a little bit older, and they be like, if they find an older aunt, she might be like, yeah, I can't really take care of a baby right now. My availability, I don't drive. I can't take the kid to the doctor, stuff like that. But some of them
Mm-hmm.
are willing, but then I guess the responsibility. Okay, okay, baby.
Okay.
The responsibility of everything that comes along, because you have to be a parent. You have to be a parent, and somebody, let's say that's like 60 years old, don't want to start over.
Right.
They don't want to start daycare, diapers, food, wipes, waking up in the middle of the night, taking care of a baby. some people don't want to start over, but they want to be active in their lives. And that is again, that's okay with us. Like
That's awesome.
we don't mind that
Mm-hmm.
they want to be active. So again, that's something that you have to think about. Okay, yeah, this is my great niece or nephew, but I'm 65 years old. I just retired. I just retired from work. I want to travel. Do I really
Right.
want to take care of an infant right now? Do I really want to take care of a little kid right now? You know, I want to up and go. I
I
don't
definitely can
want to.
understand that.
I don't want to. I don't have to worry about calling the babysitter or finding somebody to watch the kid. You know, I just want to. I just want to be able to. I just want to be able to go. And then there were instances where they did find kin, and it was like, yes, I want my niece, my nephew, my little cousin, my grandchild. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I do want them.
And that's a blessing too. And I mean, even if the foster parent or those who are in the process of the adoption, I think it is so important if you can keep a child in their family. And to hear that you guys are very open to that, I think that's a must if you're going to go this route, to be open and to know that you want to do what's best for the child. So sometimes those instances will come and it's not, you don't make the decision that it's not best for the child, but it could be the whole system of DHS that says, you know what, you can't have this child. Not you, the foster, but the next of kin may not be the appropriate person to have to adopt this, to take custody of the child. So I definitely understand that.
Yeah.
So we are wrapping up on an hour, and I'm gonna tell you that hour flew by because I don't know about anyone else, but it is such an interesting topic of fostering and adoption and that whole process. You guys really gave anyone who may be considering it, a real peek in the process, and especially with your little one running around next to you, knowing that you have to be flexible at all times, you know, that your life may need to change, you may need to adjust, and you may need to give attention when attention is due. So I bless God for that, just to even have his little presence in the background to say, this is real. This is real family stuff. Okay. This is real. This is what we go through. You know what I'm saying? We gotta adapt. We gotta tag team. We gotta be negotiable. Here, you want my phone? So like I always give people the option, if you want to share, if anyone there may be someone looking at this that is on social media and want to connect with you guys to share, or you might know a social media community, like a group of or something like that. If someone wanted to connect with y'all and follow y'all, because I'm gonna tell you, these are two dynamic people, as far as parents and loving and friends, and just to give you laughs and joy and to show the real. Because I seen your queen picture and I was like, that's a real queen right there. Like, I'm going to give it to you like it is. So, you know, you will be blessed being connected to these two individuals. So if y'all wanted to, you could definitely share how someone could connect with you. Maybe they might have more questions that you might be able to help them in that sense. So I don't know if you heard me. So would you like to share your social media platform if somebody wanted to follow you and see what the Dixons is all about?
Well, we're not. All we have is Facebook. We corny. we don't have Instagram. We don't have none. All we have is Facebook.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Y'all showing y'all age. Like, I always say I'm a woman of a certain age, but I'm on all the platforms.
No, all we have is Facebook.
So, y'all can always message them if you have a question that you might want to ask, or if you post your question down below, I will make sure that Tremayne, and it's so hard to say your name, Tremayne, and I'm only going to say that because I'm trying to be professional, because otherwise I'd be like, Maine,
Hey, man.
Maine. It's like, it's always that pause. So that's why I pause. It's not that I don't know your name, because I'll be like, Maine. But his full name is Tremayne and Donna Dixon. I bless God for you guys, what you do for children, and so many children that have come through your arms and probably would have been impacted like no other. Just the foundation that you give, the love that you give, the caring that you give, and knowing that this is a safe place for you, and the
Yes.
encouragement that you give, even to the parents, that I'm sure you are a blessing to them, and knowing that they stand for the moment is just a temporary
Sorry.
situation, and that you are supportive of them to reunification of their child. So I just thank y'all for sharing these little pearls of foster care and adoption, that people don't have to be scared. If it's
No.
something that you really want to do, do y'all have any suggestions before we go of an agency? I'm not sure who you guys work with, or is it just directly with DHS that you work with?
Well, I'll say it also depends on where you live at, because there are different agencies.
Mm-hmm.
And you can call around and find different agencies. Because DHS, or wherever you're located at, they work with different agencies. It's not just one agency.
Okay.
Like, there are different agencies all over Philadelphia, Delaware County. And if you can reach out and say, hey, listen, I would like to, because what they do even before you take classes is they have like an information session. So
Mm.
when you come in for that information session, if you say, okay, this is something that I would like to pursue, I'm going to continue to do the classes. And their agency that does that, whatever agency you work with, the classes that they do are very good and informative. They walk you through everything. They walk you through the good and the bad. They don't hide nothing from you. Like, they let you know up front how this works. If you want to do this, this is going to be done. So if you find an agency in your area that that you want to work with, just give them a call.
Okay. So you just got to do your research,
Yeah,
people.
that's
Go
what I do.
online. Google is your friend. You can look them out. You can get, feedback on them. You can see their ratings,
Yep.
all of that good stuff. So if you are interested, I say take the leap of faith and know that God will direct. He said he will direct the path of his anointed, his children. He is always with us. So I'm just so happy, and I won't keep y'all, because you gotta take care of that little one. It's
Yeah.
late. They need to go to bed.
He ready for bed. That's why he's
I can tell. I can tell he's sleepy. He's fighting that sleep. Well, I just want to thank everyone. And of course, you can always find Let's Just Talk with Kim on my YouTube page at Let's Just Talk with Kim every Monday night at 7 p.m. And we just thank you again. And if you have any recommendations of new topics, go ahead, put it down in them comment sections. So until then, I'll see you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.